my channel. In this video, we're going to be making my basic sourdough recipe. We'll start this morning with mixing up the levain. Later this afternoon, we'll mix up the dough. Then this evening, we'll shape it. We'll put it in the refrigerator overnight. In the morning, we'll take it out, score it, bake it, and look at the finished results. So let's get started. Okay, to start, you're going to need the kitchen scale. And here's mine right here. I will put a link in the description to all the equipment that I use. I am an Amazon associate, so I make a small commission off of any sales from those links. But anyway, you're going to want to start with your kitchen scale. You're going to turn it on. Right here, the on-off button is also the zero tare button in mine. Okay, we're going to be doing it in grams, and there's a little button here for the units. So I'm going to put the bowl on, and we're going to zero it out. Okay, so now we're only measuring what we're putting in the bowl, not the weight of the bowl itself. We're going to grab my starter. Now this was fed yesterday morning, so it's hungry starter. I'm going to put 200 grams. Okay. Now we got our 200 grams. We'll zero it out again. And then we'll grab our bread flour. And to our starter, we're going to add 200 grams of starter. Of flour, I'm sorry. Okay, 200 grams. Okay, now we have our water, and we're going to measure out 200 grams. Right there, that's good enough. And we're going to add that to our bowl. And then we're just going to mix this up really good. Okay, and so you can see the consistency of it. Okay, it's kind of wet, but also a little bit thick. I mean, it's not watery. Okay, that looks pretty good. There's no clumps of flour left. And then we're going to cover this, and we're going to set it aside in a nice warm spot, and we'll let it go for probably about 4 to 5 hours, and then we'll be ready to mix our dough. Okay, it's been about 5 hours, and our starter is ready. So let's get started. First, let's take a look. You can see the starter is nice and bubbles. You can see how much it's filled the bowl and how different it looks from when we mixed it. First thing we're going to do is we're going to start with 400 grams of warm filtered water. This is about 100, 110 degrees. Next, we'll get 460 grams of our starter in here. That's going to be most of what we mixed up. Okay. And then we will add that to the water we already put in the mixing bowl. Okay, we'll zero out this bowl. Now we're going to mix up our dry ingredients. So first we want 600 grams of bread flour. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, exactly 600 grams. Next we're going to add, we'll zero this out again, we're going to add 90 grams of dark rye flour. Okay, set this aside, get ourselves a little bowl. Then we're going to add 20 grams of sea salt. Okay, we'll add that to the bowl. Then we're going to take our dry ingredients and we're going to mix it together with a whisk. We're just looking to really combine everything together. Okay, then we're going to grab our electric mixer mixing bowl. And we're going to take our dry ingredients, we're going to gently put it on top of our wet ingredients. Okay. And we're going to take this and we're going to get it onto the mixer. And then we're just going to let it run on low for 10 minutes. Okay, it's been 10 minutes. It's time to get the dough out of the mixer and into our bowl. We're going to first get the dough hook out, get as much of the bread dough off of there as we can. Okay. And then we're just going to scrape this from the sides. Get it right in the bowl. Okay, now our dough is in the bowl. This is what they call shaggy looking. It's uneven, it's kind of bumpy looking, and we're going to work a little magic on it. This is one of the coolest things I found to do with dough. So first thing we're going to do is wet our hand with a little bit, one hand with a little bit of warm water. Okay, and then I'm going to get in here and underneath the dough, and I'm going to start doing this kind of motion, almost like a come here kind of motion. I'm going to be very vigorous, and without stopping, we're just going to turn the bowl and keep going like this. So let's just watch what happens to this dough, okay? So you get under there. And you have to be real vigorous, like let the dough know who's boss, okay? Look at that. Big difference. Now it's smooth, it's elastic, it's nice and tight. Okay, now this is ready to start the fermentation process. We're going to do 2 sets of stretch and folds, okay? 30 minutes apart, that's for the first hour. So 2 sets, 30 minutes apart for the first hour, and then we'll let it set for 2 hours before shaping. So we're going to cover this up. And we're going to put it aside in a nice warm spot of your kitchen. And we'll come back when it's time to do the stretch and folds. Okay, so it's been 30 minutes. We're going to do our first stretch and fold. So first thing you want to do is wet your hand that you're going to do the stretching with some warm water. And then you want to shake off the excess so you don't introduce too much water into your dough. You're going to get your hand underneath the dough, grab it, and stretch it up. Down. Now, you're going to get underneath of it again, not grabbing the fold that you put down, but here. Stretch it again. One more time. Okay, and then the final stretch. Okay, and then you can just kind of go around and just, same motion, just a bunch of little folds just to kind of make it neat. Turn it. Pick it up, tuck it real nice, try to get it up in the bowl, okay, then we're going to cover it, and we'll wait another 30 minutes for another set of stretch and folds. Okay, it's been 30 minutes, so it's time for a second set of stretch and folds. So first thing again you want to do is wet your hand with some warm water. Okay, and then just like before, we're going to get underneath. And we're going to stretch it. Now, it won't stretch as far as it did the first time. It's starting to get tight now, which is what you want, which is the whole purpose of the stretch and folds. Okay. You can see it's not quite stretching as far. And just like we did before, we're going to go around and just a bunch of little stretch and folds and turn it. Okay. And then we're just going to tuck it into a nice little ball. All right, now we're going to cover this up. We'll set our timer for 2 hours, and then we're ready for shaping. Okay, so it's been 2 hours, now it's time to shape our dough. So let's take a look at it. Okay, you can see how much it's blown up. It's filling the bowl. It's much bigger than it was when we put it away. So it's ready to go. So first thing you want to do is put a little flour on the top of the dough and spread around nice and evenly. Okay. Then you want to put a little bit of flour just on this side of your surface that you're going to be working on. Okay. Then you're going to take your bowl scraper. You're going to tip your bowl over. Then you're just going to take your bowl scraper and use it to coax the dough out without deflating it onto your surface. Okay, the bowl's clean and there's our dough. So next thing we're going to do is we're just going to make it into a nice circle. Nice and even as we can get it. Okay, well, this side is clean and it's sticky. All right, this side's got a little bit of flour on it. So right down the middle, just make a little line of flour. You want this side of the dough to stay sticky as much as possible. We're only adding this flour so when we take our dough knife and cut it in half, it doesn't stick. Okay, now we got 2 pieces because we're going to have 2 loaves out of this. So what you want to do is just gather the dough together. All right. Pick it up, then you're going to turn it over, sticky side down, onto your dry surface. And then you're going to pull it to you and turn it. This is pre-shaping. This is going to be made into ovals or batards. Okay, just keep pulling it to you. And so you're sort of going like this and pushing down with these fingers and under and pulling back to you. And you'll be able to feel that the dough kind of sticks. All right, and that's one. Put a little bit of flour around. A little bit on top. And now we'll pre-shape the other one. Again, just gather it up. Okay, sticky side down. And just keep, now it's starting to slide because there's a little too much flour. So I always have a wet cloth, or in this case a paper towel, so I can wipe off the excess. Wrung out really good so it's still fairly dry. And now the dough sticks a little bit so you can get your shape going on. Okay, you can see we're making a bubble here, and that's actually a good sign. It's expected in sourdough. That's why you have those big bubbles in sourdough. All right, that's good. Spread it around, a little bit of flour, set it down, a little bit of flour on top. Now we're gonna let these rest for about 5-10 minutes. So what I normally do is I'll just let them sit while I go and clean up my bowl and my dishes, and we'll come back for the final shaping. Okay, it's been a few minutes and now it's time for our final shaping. So we're gonna take this ball that we made, flip it over, and we're just gonna flatten it out a bit without crushing the bread. We wanna keep the bubbles in it. We just wanna flatten it out a little bit, okay? And then what you're gonna do is, like ears, you wanna take one side, fold it down, another side, fold it down, and then you get this piece here. We call that the saddle. And then you wanna take that over, then you're just gonna press right here with your fingers. Just kind of let it seal a little bit, okay? And you want to turn it, and you're going to try to do the same thing again. You're going to take one ear over, one ear over, and it leaves you with this saddle. You're going to pull that saddle all the way over to the other side of the bread. And then you're going to try and make it like a clam or like a calzone, okay? And then you're going to go around, and you're going to seal it, roll it onto the seal. And then you're going to do the same motion, but not turning it, okay, that you did when we did the pre-shape. A little bit that way, a little bit that way, okay. Now, right here, the little point, you're gonna fold just a little bit under, about an inch, inch and a half, something like that, okay. And then pull it towards you again, turn it, pull it towards you again. Now, if your hand's completely dry, put on just a tiny bit of flour. Because what you're gonna do now is you're gonna pick this up, and this side underneath that my hand's on now, down here, that's sticky. We're gonna put a little bit of flour on top. Then we're gonna bring over our banneton basket. There's a little bit of flour already in here. Turn it over and set it in, okay? And then this is the last part of shaping. You wanna take your finger and this little joint right here, this first joint, that's about how far you're gonna go in. You're gonna push down and pinch, okay? And pinch the roll and then push it down and pinch. Push it down and pinch. And this is pulling the skin tight on the underneath side, okay? And you wanna do it kind of fast. You don't wanna do it slow. If you do it slow, the dough is gonna stick to your fingers. And it's gonna stick to your fingers anyway, but it'll stick to your fingers a lot. And then you just wanna go along and make sure that it's all sealed up. Okay, and then you want to put a little flour on top. Put your cover on it. Now this one's ready for the refrigerator. We'll set it aside. And now we're going to do the same thing with our second loaf. Flatten it out just a bit. Almost like you're getting ready to make a pizza dough. Just a little bit. But gently tapping it out. Corner, corner, saddle. Press and seal it. Again, corner, corner, pull the saddle over. And then just seal it up. Roll it over onto the seam. Pull it back to you a little bit. Again, turn it, pull it back to you a little bit. And you're starting to get a big bubble right here, big bubble blister. The deep ones, if it looks like it's deep in there, you leave it. But if it's thin right on the skin, just do it like that, okay? Tuck a little bit, tuck a little bit. Pull it back to you again. Turn it, back to you again. Now my hands are dry, so just a tiny bit of flour. Pick up the loaf. Get your banneton. Flip it over. Okay. Now you can see the seam here, right? And you can see how it's like a little Y right here where we tucked it, and again over here. So what we want to do is have like almost like a single seam. So that's what this does. So right here we're going to push in and pinch and seal. Okay. And then we're just going to go all the way across, pushing it down a little bit, and then pinching it to seal it. Push it down, push it down, push it down. And then here, you got this kind of little ugliness. I kind of want to push it in and then pinch. And then pinch down here along the edge. You want to make sure it seals. If it looks like it's not sealing, just pinch it a little more. Okay. Okay, that's good. And you just try and make sure it looks like an even oval. Okay. A little bit of flour. Spread it around. Put the cover on it. Okay. And now we have our two shaped rolls. So now these are going to go in the refrigerator for cold proofing. Okay. This does a number of things. One, it improves the flavor. Two, it's easier to proof that way. There's less of a chance of overproofing. Makes it nice. I don't have to bake them the night. I can do them first thing in the morning, or you could actually just leave it sit. You can bake it around lunchtime for dinner, or even closer to dinner if you want to cut a hot, a nice warm loaf. But these are ready to go, so I'll see you guys in the morning. Good morning. So our loaves have been cold proofing overnight in the refrigerator, and they're ready to go. I got my oven preheated at 450 degrees, and my Dutch ovens have been in there, and they're also preheated. They're ready to go. So let's get these out. We're gonna get them out of the refrigerator, score them, and put them in covered in the Dutch oven to bake for 30 minutes. And then we're going to take the lids off and we'll bake it for another 15 minutes to darken up the crust. So let's get going. The first thing I do is take out my Dutch oven so that it's ready to go after I score the dough. And I get out my bread. Okay. Take a little cornmeal, spread it on the bottom. This gives it a nice texture and a finished look to the bottom of your dough. Okay. Take our bread mat. Flip over our Lazy Susan. Flip it over up onto our Lazy Susan. This just makes it nice and easy for me to move my dough around. And gently take off the Banneton basket. Now I set this next to the oven to dry out. Okay, and you pick your sides. This is the nicest side, so here's where I'm going to do my decorative score. Okay, and these are little thin marks. And it's supposed to look like a wheat flour. Okay, they're not very deep, they're just nicks. Okay, now this is going to be my main score. This is what's going to make the ear. And this is nice and deep. This is all the way down to the hilt, all the way down to here. I'm sorry, all the way down to right here, all the way down to the wood. Okay? And that's going to let this dough, because there's a ton of bubbles in there, and all those are going to expand. That's what gives the rise to the bread. And it's going to open up like this, and then this is going to be your ear in this cut. And this is nice and deep. Get it into my Dutch oven. And get it into the oven. While we're in here, we're getting the other Dutch oven out. Okay, and let's take a look at this score from a different angle. Okay, so here's our other loaf. And we're going to get our cornmeal and just sprinkle it on top and spread it around. Okay, get our bread mat. Let's get it flipped over onto our Lazy Susan. Okay, and this looks like the nicer side. So we're going to do our little decorative score. And then nice and deep on this side right here. See how we're angling it a little bit? Get it in there. Okay, and I don't know if you can see inside. Yeah, I don't think you can. But if you look down in there, you'll see all the little bubbles. If you look in there and it looks all smooth, like clay, then it might not be a good loaf of bread. But if you look in there and there's lots of bubbles, it's good chances you got a good loaf of bread. Okay, it's been 30 minutes, and here's the moment of truth. This is when you find out if all your work has been worth it or not, or were you just wasting your time. And when I take these lids off, look for a little puff of steam. That's the whole point of having these lids on. Let's take a look at this guy. Well, that's a good loaf of bread. Let's take a look at this guy. Ah, that's a good loaf of bread too. All right, so we are going to close this up. And we're going to bake it for, you see how they're a little pale? We're going to bake them for 15 minutes. They'll darken right up and look beautiful. Okay, it's been 15 minutes. Let's get these loaves of bread out and take a look at them. Here's the first one. Got a nice ear, nice oven spring, nice decorative detail. The bottom looks good. And when you thump it, it sounds hollow, like a hollow door. There's the first one. Okay, and here's the second one. Again, nice decorative detail, nice ear, nice oven spring, nice bottom, nice sound. Okay, there you go. 2 beautiful loaves of bread.